This series that's going on, the Formula Karting Championship, talk about it and what it's essentially doing for karting here in the West Coast.
Well, Calvin and myself and my oldest son, Kyle, and three other guys, Brian Bender, matter of fact, I think was one, which is still karting today. We felt that the way karting, the direction of karting was going was not right. New people would come and want to buy a shifter or want to buy a Rotex or a Leopard at that time. And I would do everything I could to kind of, no, don't start with that, don't start with that. Well, there's no place to race. All I can race is this. So we started to take our idea at some of the tracks around Southern California. And to be honest with you, most of them didn't want that idea. They said, oh, no, we've got 125s and we got this. And I go, I think there's a place for everything. And which I smiled right then because I was thinking farther down the road. But so we picked it up, and nobody really wanted to do what we want to do. We want to have a traveling series, so we weren't stuck at one track all the time. We wanted to have 100 cc's. We wanted to have a spot for beginners. All of us started as a beginner one time, and if we didn't get so discouraged, we kept going. If we got discouraged, we quit. So, you know, you don't want to start somebody out against people that have been doing this for 15 years. It's just unfair. So they really didn't buy my ideas. So we sat down at a table, at 8 of us, and actually another gentleman took on the leadership as president. But it was kind of our whole idea, how to build 100cc karting again. I started on 100cc karting right here. Mike Manning, Kyle and Kyle Atkins and a bunch of other guys that that he passed actually last year, but they were still in karting, and we had so much fun, and the competition was so great that it made sense. And if people 40 years ago are still karting, we must have done something right. So we decided to try that again, and we wanted to bring back 40 years ago. And a lot of people say, "Oh, don't do that. You live in the past. Don't live in the you need to live in the future." And I said, "Yeah, but look how strong the past was." I mean, I remember racing out here as a novice, and I think we had, in fact, John Bush just left. He was here talking to me. I think we had 40 guys. I mean, that's when karting was really strong. And they were all 100cc Yamahas. I mean, they weren't that exciting, but the competition was good. Everybody helped everybody. Everybody had a lot of fun. And because of that, they stayed in karting. And I started to see that going away, and so did Calvin, so did everybody else. So we started a series and that traveled, and kind of their main focus was 100cc. And it worked. And then there was a few issues on that. And so FKC then was just formed last year, or the end of last year, or the beginning of this year. And Calvin has taken every idea that we came up with 6 or 7 years ago, and has run with it. And oh my God, here you guys are. We've never done that before. And I believe that is when people come out and go, those guys look like they're having fun. And oh, by the way, the competition is amazing. Oh, by the way, all those guys are within 1/10 of a second or 2/10 or whatever the heck they were. It makes sense to more people. Then another guy comes along and said, I'm thinking about getting on the karts. They aren't immediately jumping over the top of, they aren't starting with that 7th story yet. They're starting with the ground floor, and hopefully that build.
Talk about this series. This series is kind of brand new, but it's really kind of grown and gotten really popular pretty quick right off the bat.
Yeah, I love this series actually. It's kind of like, we run SCUSA, so we run all the pro races and stuff, but we always like going back to basics 100cc where everyone's learning, having fun. And this series, FKC, kind of took the best of both worlds, and they took a professional race staff like Steve Buckner, Calvin Chen, and a bunch of great race officials, and like on the professional side to make it close to SCUSA, and then kept it with backyard fun, more similar to like a Tri-C and pack racing. So you feel like you're at a professional event, but the atmosphere and the learning environment's a lot like a regular backyard series.